You do not need a gym program in order to build muscle. What you do need is structure. And in today's video, I'm going to teach you exactly how to structure your pull workout, whether you want to do a push-pull leg split, full body split, or just be a bro and do a back split. Too many gym programs are far too rigid, saying you have to use this machine for this number of reps and do this many sets. What if your gym doesn't have that machine? Or even worse, what if bro's been sleeping on that machine for the last 45 minutes and you can't even get your gym session in? Well, after today's video, that will never happen to you again. My name is Peter Truick and I'm a qualified and still practicing physiotherapist, which means I prescribe exercise and movement patterns for a living, so I know a thing or two about how to optimize a workout so that you don't have to waste your time and get the most gains possible. So for our push workout, we split everything into tiers. Now this doesn't really apply for a pull workout because there's so many different functional muscles working at the same time. So we're gonna split it into groups of exercises. We've got our vertical pull, we've got our horizontal pull, then we've got our straight arm pull, and then we've got rear delts, and then external rotation, AKA the face pull. And don't worry, we will be covering the guns, how to hit the biceps towards the end of the video, as you would do towards the end of any pull workout. So first things first, the vertical pull. Any position where you start above your head and you're pulling down to below the chin. Now for this tier, we're gonna go really heavy. So go on the lat pull down machine, go on the single arm slightly angled lat pull down machine, go on a pull up bar, put a dip weight on, and make sure we're going heavy for this movement, somewhere where you're failing in the 8 rep range. Now for this tier or this exercise, we don't want to be letting the shoulder blades go loose and then pulling from there, creating momentum. We want to start with our shoulder blades locked in and then pulling from that position and not letting them sink down at the bottom. We will get into some of those other movements later on in this video. Next up, we've got our horizontal pull. Now again, for the first horizontal pull movement, you can go exceptionally heavy, load it up, and similar to the vertical pull, which I didn't mention, you can do your partial reps. So when you finish, do your partial reps. And again, for this level of this exercise, we want our shoulder blades locked in position. So we don't want to be stretching forward and then pulling them back to assist with momentum. So we want to be locked in, going heavy, focusing on getting that movement and isolating the lats as best we can. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about isolating the lats, letting the shoulder blades loose to incorporate other muscles, I did a whole video discussing the anatomy of the back and how we can use the same movement in different ways to target different muscles. I'll link the video after this one. So for this group of exercises, your first horizontal pull of the day, go heavy, as I said, and we can pick from absolutely anything. You can do a pendlay row, you can do a bent over row, you can do a TRX row, you can do a front lever row if you're strong enough, you can do a cable row, you can do a machine row, you can do a plate loaded chest supported machine row, T-bar row, landmine, you name it. You can do any form of movement where you're pulling horizontally or at 90 degrees towards yourself. They all work and you can chop and change between them or just pick the one you feel the most. So now we're on to group 3. Now this is the exact same exercises as the vertical pull and the horizontal pull. However, now we can let our shoulder blades loose. And what do I mean by that? So if I go to the bar, for the first one, we had our shoulder blades locked in and then we pull from that position. With this one, I'd like you to let your shoulder blades hang loose. You might need to drop the weight a bit and actually use a bit of that momentum. Use the muscles that control your shoulder blade to help out. This way, we're not just strengthening the lats, we're strengthening the back in general. Similarly with the horizontal pull. So for the first one, if we're holding on there and we lock in and we pull, for this one, so group 3, we're going to allow the shoulder blades, and you can even lean forward on this, allow them to round. I need a bit more space. So allow them to round, get a massive stretch on it. Spinal flexion is not the enemy. And from there, you can pull back and really get that squeeze again, using all the muscles that help control the shoulder blade as well as the lats and using them functionally. So next up, group 5. Now this is a completely different exercise. This is a different functional movement. We're onto a straight arm pull, mainly using the lats and all those shoulder blade muscles. Now here we've got options. You've got your cable straight arm pull down, and Dr. Mike gave the best cue I've ever heard for this. Picture a whole bunch of money in front of you and try scoop in as much money as possible and then going back up. You can also do a variation where you're lying on a bench and you're doing an overhead straight arm pull. That will be higher bias in the stretch position, where this is going to be harder sort of mid to end range. And then if you're really feeling brave, I can only do it with a short lever, and that is a front lever pull. So arms locked dead straight. I have to bend my knees up, and then you're going all the way up there, controlling down, and then repeating. If you're exceptionally strong, you can do it straight, but obviously I'm too tall for the squat rack to do it straight. And I'm not strong enough to hold it. I can just go up and down, but not all the way up. This is a key component of back training that everyone seems to leave out. Next up, we've got our rear delts and rotator cuff. Now, you don't need to hit your rotator cuff every single time. It will work with all the functional movements. So if you want to grow bigger rotator cuff, give yourself a more aesthetic looking back, this section is for you. So rear delts are really important. So we're going to combine this stage, so group 6. We've got our face pulls, be it with a TRX or be it with a cable. Then we've also got our rear delt movement. So you can do your reverse pec deck. You can do your chest supported face down reverse flies. Those are absolutely fine. You could even go onto a cable machine or a row machine, set it up so you're pulling towards the top of your sternum or base of your neck and flare the elbows out. That's really going to hit the rear delts. And you can pick any one of these exercises for this group. So that is how we target the back. If I were to structure this in a workout for someone doing a push-pull leg split, I would do one vertical pull, so one of group 1, one horizontal pull, one of group 2, then one of group 3, either horizontal or vertical pull, and I would advise you to chop and change between your 2 days. Then I would go on to a group 4 straight on pull, any one of those, and then a group 5, which is going to be either rear delt or rear delt and external rotation, and again, alternate those between days. Now, I said to you, I wouldn't forget about the guns, so let's get into it. Here, we've got 3 groups. We've got group 1, which is going to be elbows by your side and curling, because biceps curl. Then we're going to do group 2, which is going to be elbows behind your body, and guess what? We're curling again. And then group 3 is going to be elbows in front of your body and curling again. Now, again, I've broken down the structure of the biceps and why certain movements hit certain muscles in an arm video, which again, I'll link at the end of this one. It's definitely worth a watch, and it'll give you a better understanding of why we're choosing certain groups and certain exercises. So for group 1, we're going to go really heavy again. Here the options are endless. You can do a machine as long as you're neutral. You can do cable curl as long as you're neutral. Now you can do a hammer curl with a dumbbell. Again, as long as your arms are there, you can curl. You can do an easy bar curl. You can do a barbell curl. Anything like that will work as long as you go heavy and load it up. Then for group 2, we've got our arms behind the body. So I'll start off with Jeff Nippard's favorite, the Bayesian curl, which is on a cable, arm behind your body, curling in. This is not my favorite, but it is a good option for this group. You can also do your incline on a bench, arms behind you. This is my favorite, especially if you do a hammer curl, which incorporates supination, very important movement of the long head of the biceps, and that's why we're doing it behind the body. You can also do things like drag curls, where you pull the bar up along your body and your elbows go behind you. Any movement where your arms are behind you and you're curling will work for this exercise or this group of exercises. Then we've got group 3, which is predominantly your bro group. So we've got our preacher curl, so arm on a bench and just curling like a bro, preacher curl machine. You can do a cable bar curl as long as your arms are out in front of you. That one's a bit harder because there's no support, but it can be done and does work quite nicely. And it's got good tension in the stretch position. For this group, you can do your chin-ups, or on a lat pull down, you can do a bicep variance. Again, I've explained this in the arms video. That can be epic. Any curling movement with your arms out in front. And for this one, I would not advise a hammer curl. No hammer movement on this one, because that's predominantly done by the long head, and because your arm's in front of you, we're targeting the short head. Then we can throw in brachialis, so that is your hammer movements. I would throw that in a separate tier, and you don't need to isolately train your brachialis, which is why I haven't covered it in this video. It will work and be working in all of your bicep movements. So if you're doing just an arm day, then target it. If you're not, and you're a smart person who's doing one of the more popular splits, you do not need to train it. So in a push-pull legs workout, how would I structure this, or push-pull leg split? For my biceps, I would structure 1 group 1, really heavy, 2 failure and beyond failure, incorporating partials. Then I would do 3 sets there. Then I would split it and do 2 sets of a group 2, again, really heavy, loading it up, and then 2 sets of a group 3. So we're targeting both together, everything working hard, long head out behind you, short head in front of you, but less sets of the isolated head movements, so your short and long head. This will give us a total of 7 working sets, times that by 2, and you've got 14 sets for the week. So now that we've got the structure, and you could use any exercise of your choice, as long as those fit into the boxes, it will work and will be functional, and you will hit all the muscles you need to. For me personally, I'm going to go through my favorite 2 pull workouts for the week. So starting off with our group 1, vertical pull is going to be on a lat pull down machine, loading it up, going as heavy as possible, and then breaking and doing some stretch partials. And then for the group 2, I'm going to be doing a seated cable row with a narrow handle, really trying to hit the lats locked in. My group 3 is going to be on a chest supported T-bar row. I love that movement, especially when you're going into that group 3 exercise where you can round the shoulders and get all the other back muscles helping out. I really enjoy that exercise. And if you do have some lower back issues, a good variant to do your group 3 is going to be chest supported, but I would encourage you to try do it also on something that isn't chest supported. Then going into group 4, I'm going to go onto a cable machine, go with a bar and just go as heavy as I can, doing my pull downs. I'm going to try stack it out because I'm trying to use these as an adjunct to getting a front lever. So front lever is a lot harder than even a full stack. So it's a really great exercise and a functional movement we need to target. Then my group 4, so my rear delts or face pulls or rotator cuff is going to be a face pull with external rotation on a cable with a rope this time, and my gym's got extra long ropes. If not, you can just double up or use long handles, both work perfectly fine. Then onto biceps, my favorite movement is my seated single arm dumbbell hammer curl. The reason I do it seated is just to take the core out of it a little bit, so you're not throwing yourself around, and you can really try and isolate. Same with single arm, you can really try and isolate it and your core won't limit. And we've got our supination group. Then my 2 sets of my group 2, where your arms behind the body, I'm going to be doing seated dumbbell curls on an incline, arm behind again, going into a hammer curl to really try to target that long head. And then for my group 3 on this, I'm going to be doing a preacher curl machine. Elbow out in front of the body, right to failure, past failure, full send. So for the second pull session of the week, this is where I take group 1 and group 2 and swap the order. So we started off with a vertical pull last time around. This time around, we're going to start off with a horizontal pull, and my favorite is a plate loaded machine, which changes the strength curve slightly, chest supported, and I go as heavy as I possibly can and crank out roughly 8 to 10 reps. Absolutely love it. And I also prefer doing that machine single-handed, so I can really try and focus on getting the movement spot on. Then from there, I'm going to do weighted pull-ups. I love weighted pull-ups, really foundation movement, and if you can get between 8 and 10 reps, that's absolutely fine. But for this one, I don't mind if you want to hit the 5 rep range and go slightly heavier. That is also absolutely fine. Both will work, and I actually prefer the 5 rep range with a heavier weight. Then for my group 3 is going to be on a lat pull down machine, or actually my favorite machine is again plate loaded, where you're reaching up at an angle and then you pull it down almost on a slight angle. I'll show you on B-roll. I absolutely love this, and you can let the shoulder blades loose and get all those other muscles helping out. So what I've done this time, we did a horizontal group 3, now we've done a vertical group 3. You see how that works? And you can do that at any time of the workout. You can chop and change. My group 4 this time around is going to be the exact same exercise, straight arm pull downs on the cable. I find the calisthenics or the bodyweight version too difficult to hit the numbers, so I just do it on the cable and it's working absolutely fine. My group 5, I prefer to use the TRX. My gym doesn't really have a TRX, so I'm going to do a seated cable row with a bar with my elbows up, pulling towards my throat, really hitting those rear delts, which I absolutely love to do. You get an insane pump after doing a bent or a row variant of a rear delt movement. Then onto the biceps. So I always start with the same one, but for this video weights, I'm going to go on a standing barbell curl as heavy as I can for 8 to 10 reps. Then I'm going to go onto a cable variant of the Bayesian curl, but not at that extreme stretch. So I'm going to anchor it at the bottom because I want the most tension in the mid-range, because that's just how our muscle fiber contraction works. And then I'm going to finish off with the dumbbells, going on a preacher curl on a bench, single arm, just to failure. So if you guys would like, give both of these or one of these two workouts a try and let me know how you found it. And if you enjoyed it, please drop that down in the comment section below so other people can also go give it a try. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate your time. And if it's your first time here, congrats on making this far. And the fact that you've watched this one, consider checking out some of my other content. And remember, if you haven't, I'll link the anatomy back here and the anatomy arms here, which will give you a breakdown of how the muscles are working in order to achieve the movement and why certain movements target different muscles, even though the movement looks very similar. And that will make this video make a lot more sense. All right, guys, I appreciate your time. And if you liked the video, please smash that thumbs up button down below and considering checking out some of my other content. And hopefully one of these days I can earn that subscription from you. Until then, guys, we'll catch you in the next one.